Some say Old Moll lived down near Brandy Cove. Others say that she lived on the common. What everyone agreed on, though, was that Old Moll was no good. If the crops failed, they'd say, Old Moll was there, I saw her. If children got sick, they'd say, Old Moll was there, I saw her. And when animals died, they'd say, Old Moll was there, I saw her. Old Moll, for her part, let them believe what they liked, if it kept them away from nagging her to do this or that. Old Moll, you really should have a bath more often. You're filthy. As long as they still bought what she made and found, that was fine. She made her living from beachcombing and had a sharp eye for a shiny something in the pebbles. She prided herself on never stealing, only picking up what was lost or swept ashore. The years passed, and everything stayed the same, gossiping over the garden wall. Then one year, the crops failed, cattle died, children got sick, and one small child died. Old Moll was there. I saw her too, and me. The villagers gathered. Enough was enough. Everyone agreed something had to be done. This had gone on long enough. We all know she's a witch. She's been seen turning into a hare. The only way to kill a witch is with a silver bullet. There was silence. No one wanted to go that far, but no one wanted their children to be next. They agreed to collect any silver they could spare, and the men would bring it to the pub. The next night the men gathered. After beers and a few whiskies, they put the silver on the table. An old button, a teaspoon, and pockets were emptied. The blacksmith was there. With a nod he looked gravely at the assembled group, gathered the dusty silver objects in his large palms. "Meet you at the next full moon," he muttered and left. Setting up his forge at Park Mill, as he did every day except Sundays, he started to work, using his bellows to get the coals white hot. Washing the silver objects free of dust and grime, he placed them in the crucible. He watched as each melted, lost its form and became molten liquid, ready to take new shape. 3 moulds were made and filled. Every last drop was used. The silver cooled and formed into bullets. Each was filed of rough edges, polished to a smooth, fast, deadly shine. As the sun set and the full moon rose high in the sky, Old Moll went to her favourite spot, Broad Pool. The large pool just over the cattle grid as the road forks left and up over Kevin Bryn. She could feel in her heart ill will coming, hear it on the wind and smell it in the air. No good would come of this, but she sat, as she always did, head up, listening to the moon sing. Her cloak, dress and whittling knife were hanging over the bough of her favourite hawthorn tree, her heart tree. As she walked naked away from the shelter of the tree, she reached up and stretched towards the moon. Then with a flex of her shoulders and shake of her head, she bounded on all fours with her large, long ears, alive to the sounds of the night. Owls hooted hello, the trees sang with the moon, and all was well in this beautiful, enchanting world. Gathering at the pub, all the men had a stiff drink to settle their nerves. The blacksmith arrived and placed the 3 silver bullets in a row. Silence. No one breathed. No one could look away, and no one wanted to look. Passing the bullets to the best shooter in the village, the local poacher, They stood with heads bowed and left. Walking with their dogs from Park Mill, up the hill towards the common. At the top of the hill they paused before turning left, knowing what would come next. As the trees cleared and Kevin Bryn came into sight, the moon shone high in the night sky. The long ears of Old Moll twitched, hearing the sounds of men moving with thoughts of dangerous purpose. She took flight. The men and dogs separated out, stealth and silence, the hunter's gaze. The poacher saw the long ears first, silhouetted against the moonlit sky. He steadied his hound and let him loose. Streaking through the grass, the other dogs gave chase. The poacher lined up his sight. Bang! Old Moll leapt in the air as the bullet entered her side, changing from hare to fish. Her silver side flashed in the moon. Her body moved and twisted. Her ears and limbs were gone. She was now a fish with a tail, curved and arched as she soared through the air. The bullet dropped to the ground as her shape and size changed. She landed in the pool, broad pool. She swam to the bottom and waited. Dogs howled in the blood chase. The men ran behind, led to the silver bullet that now lay in blood on the grassy floor. The poacher picked it up. It was smooth, shot through, streaked with blood and slime. Handing it to the blacksmith, his head down, he knew he'd done what was expected. The blacksmith announced, "Clean kill," with a grave nod of his head. A boy voiced what everyone was thinking. "Where's the body?" "Ah," the blacksmith nodded sagely. "She's a witch, and this is a silver bullet. She must have disappeared." The men agreed. No one wanted to think anything other than that. No one wanted to go through that night again. They were good men, fathers, sons, husbands. That night weighed heavy in their hearts. They'd done what needed to be done to protect the ones they loved. Old Moll waited till she could feel the movement of the water stop. The vibration slowed until they were no more. Turning herself back to human form, she stood up from the pond, transformed. Walking back to her favourite hawthorn tree, she gathered her cloak around her and slowed and steadied her breathing. She took her dress from the branch, now that her arms could lift it, and put it on. Once more she was wrapped up warm and clothed again, and left for the Swansea Valley. As for the villagers, life went on. Crops failed, animals died, children got sick. But Old Moll was never seen again.